Hi everyone, today again talking about how to make a VPN between Azure and AWS. This scenario may be a requirement right nowadays because most of the application is hosted in more than one cloud right now. So it may be useful for you to do some kind of this scenario. So first of all, let me give you the idea about this lab. I have here Azure account and here AWS account. Should we have two accounts here? So we will start with the Azure. We will do resource group, subnet, and VNet, which is a virtual net. And as well, when those get it done, we will create something they call VNet gateway. From VNet gateway, we can get the public IP. From the public IP, we will be good to go to the AWS because we have the public IP. So we will go to the AWS. We create the customer gateway for the VPN, then VPN gateway as well, which is both of them need the specifically the gateway, VPN gateway, they need a public IP, which is already get it from the Azure VN gateway. Once those done, we can do the VPN side to side. So at that point, number 3 in AWS, we can get the public IP from the AWS. So we get that public IP then back to the Azure. We will create the local network gateway, and from local network gateway we can create something they call connection, which is representative the side-to-side VPN. When VPN done between them, will be appear here the tunnel up, and here will be appear as a connected. So when we reach to that level, we are good to go to create VM here and VM here and test the connectivity between them through ping or traceroute or whatever. So this is the plan. So let's get started. All right, I'm here in Azure, and this is my account as well in AWS. So I will create a resource first here. They call a resource, or it's like a container for Azure. You can put it all your stuff on it. So I will say I need to create the add from here. Then we create the group resource. So just put it any name. This is VPN dash group resource, or whatever, any name you like it. Then I review and create this group. Once this one done, or the group, VPN group, resource group. So inside the resource group, you can go inside, then we can create here network or VNet. So from here, you can go to add. Then you just need to add network. You can add from here network here, this option, or simply you go to the search and just go to the virtual network. Virtual network you can create here. Then they will pointing to resource or proper resource group, your resource group. So create virtual network here. Then after that, they ask you, what is the resource group? Yeah, I just created now, VP. Then what is the name for this VP VN? So I will say this is VPN-VN. Okay. Then next, they ask me what is the network IP. So I just say 172.168.0.0/16. Or this is the CIDR, you need to create subnet. I say yes, I can create subnet. From that, I say subnet 01, and I will say the subnet is 172.16.0, or I can go with 1.0/24. Okay, so I create this subnet from the VNet. Okay, as you can see here, this subnet 0. Next, the security, I will make it simple, all disable. Then I just tag. I don't want it tag right now, so I create the VNet. All right, after a virtual network, so let's go to the virtual network gateway. VNG, that one will be provide me the public IP as well. So I create the virtual network gateway. I will select the name for that. I will say as well VPN virtual network gateway. Then as well, I will put it the gateway type is VPN. I keep it default, route base. Here they ask me which virtual network you need to deal with this VPN. I will say VPN VN, which is the virtual network I just created here. Here, the gateway for the VPN subnet. So we need to be /27. So I will use 10.172.16.0.0/27 as the gateway subnet for this VPN gateway. Here, the public IP, they ask me what the name for the public IP. Public IP, this is the name. Then everything looks good. So next is tag. I don't want it BGP here. I don't want it active mode is all disabled. Then the tag here. Then after that, create the virtual network gateway. As you can see, I will hit create here. So this is take around 10 to 15 minutes to get the public IP. So I have to go here to the virtual network. Then inside the virtual network, when I do refresh, after the deployment for all the stuff here is done, as you can see the deployment, I deployment many things here. Once it's done, I can access to the virtual gateway up there here, and I can see it right now here. It's not ready yet. This take around 10 to 15 minutes. When I go to the overview here and I can see the public IP here, as you can see public IP address, I don't think so is ready yet. It's take around 10 minutes. You can see there is no IP here. Once this IP ready here, I'm good to go and configure the VPN in AWS. In the meanwhile, we can do something in AWS. I go to the AWS, I go to the VPC in AWS, which is the virtual private gateway, which is the virtual private cloud. I will create the VPC here for this VPN. I create a new one. I call VPC-VPN, or let's say Azure, VPC for Azure, and I say this is supposed to be 192.168.1.0, or I can say as well 0.0/16, no problem. Okay, this is the VPC, and I created here, I don't want it IPv6. Once the VPC is ready, I can go to create subnet from this VPC. So the subnet will be subnet 01 as well. This is in VPC Azure. So I can put it the CIDR here, will be 192.168.1.0/24. Okay, then create. Then after that, I need to go to do the I can do the internet gateway as well. The internet gateway, we don't need it right now. So this is the subnet one. I think there is I have another one with the same name. I can put it that one, the subnet VPN Azure. Okay, so this subnet will be used for VPN from the AWS. At that point, we can go to the same VPC option. At the bottom, you can see something they call VPN, virtual private gateway, or virtual private network. So customer gateway here, the first thing you need to create it. So this, we need AWS name, AWS to Azure. Here we need public IP. As you can see, I need a public IP to put it here, which is, I'm still waiting to Azure to provide me the public IP in order to using in AWS for the first option in AWS, which is create the customer VPN gateway. All right, after like 10 to 15 minutes, the process is done, and you can see this is the public IP from Azure. You can also go to the virtual network gateway, and you can see it here as a public IP. Once you get public IP, we go back to AWS and we go to the first option. Maybe I can show you again. We go from where? So from VPC, there is an option they call VPN. So you go to the first option, which is customer gateway. So in the customer gateway, we put it the Azure information. So AWS to Azure. Then here I keep it static, and I put it here the public IP. Then after that, I create the customer gateway. Once customer gateway is done here, we go to the second option, which is they call virtual server gateway. We have to select which I will call VPN Azure, and I will create it here. And you need to attach this virtual private gateway, need to attach it to which VPC you need to involve with the VPN. So attach it to VPC, which is we created earlier, which is VPC Azure. Then I attach it on it. This takes few minutes. All right, when done this, we can go to option side-to-side VPN and create side-to-side VPN here. So we put the name here for AWS and Azure, or any name you want, and you want it to use it VPG or virtual private gateway, and we can select the virtual private gateway from here, which is just now we created VPN Azure. Then as well, they ask you to select the customer gateway, which is also just created now, which is AWS to Azure. And we need to select here static, because in other side in Azure, we select the static. We never use BGP for now. So I put it static and say, here they ask you which one, the remote network. So it will be 172.16.0.0/16, or you can put it as well /24. I prefer to put it all the CIDR. Once this one done, IPv4. All right, for the local network, we need to put it 192.168.1.0/24. And for the remote network, we can deal with 172.16.0, I think .1.0 up there, 24. So keep everything as is. The AWS created two tunnels, and Azure created one. So actually we deal with one tunnel only. So I create here the VPN side to side. Perfect. As you can see here, the VPN side is done. Once it's done here, they take a while here to get it active. And meanwhile, you can download the configuration from here. You just go to the option they call generic and download the file here. So this file will help us to do the VPN other side in Azure. So as you can see, we have two tunnels. So I will focusing to the tunnel one, which is the public IP is 18, as you can see here. So I need a pre-shared key because the file included the pre-shared key here as well. So we just go a little bit down. This is the pre-shared key for the first tunnel. I will copy that guy. I need it. And use it. You can see here as well the IP address 18 will be deal with the 13.72.80.116. This is from Azure, and 18 is from AWS. So I need this public IP. I will copy this public IP and I go to Azure with the pre-shared key as well. So I go to the Azure. I will create something they call local network gateway. I go to the local network gateway here, create local network gateway. This local network gateway will be, you can give the name AWS. VPN. Then we can put it the public IP address. So I put it the public IP from AWS, and they ask me for address space here. Here you can put it your local network 172.16.1.0/24. This is the local network here. Then we never use BGP for now, and you have to select your resource. Then after that you create. So when you create the local network gateway, from the local network gateway we'll create something they call connection, and this connection will be included the information about site-to-site VPN, pre-shared key, IKEv1 or 2, all the phase 1 and phase 2 for the VPN. So let's do refresh one more time, and should we see here our new local network gateway, that one. So when you click on it, and then we go to the connections. So the connections here, I will say add, I will say VPN-AWS or any name you like. As you can see, this is they call site-to-site IPsec VPN. So I create it from here, or I select from here the virtual network gateway. When you click on it, then as well they select local network gateway here. So pre-shared key PSK, we can get it from the file from AWS, and remember we deal with the first tunnel. So tunnel 1, this is the pre-shared key. So I will copy the pre-shared key here, and I put the pre-shared key here. You can select IKEv1, v2 in AWS. The cool thing in AWS support both of them, so I just keep it IKEv2, IKEv2. Then the resource as well, resource group, then I just say okay. So should be created here. This is the connection here, and this is the status for connection here. If I want to click here, I can see the status here. If I wait for a while, should be coming and show me here connected if the VPN successful. So if I go one click here, then I'm back to the overview, still try to connection here. Even in AWS here as well, if I do refresh from here, that one available. And the tunnel, as you can see here, I deal with the first tunnel. So the tunnel here also try to connect it right now, and should be become up. So after a while, you can see the connected here, which is mean the Azure tunnel is up. Let's see what happened in AWS. So we go to the site-to-site VPN, then we go to the tunnel. Then we can see the tunnel here is show as here up. So should be okay. I think once is up here and once is up here, we need to add this route to the routing table. We go to the Azure and we go to the something they call routing table here. So we will add the routing table, or create routing table here. We create a resource, we assign to the same resource, we use it. So this route table, VPN-route table, then after that create the route table here. So create the route table, then we can assign to that route table, we're going to assign the subnet in that route table. So we just refresh, I think will be appear here. So refresh, so you can see this is a route table here. First of all, you need to add the subnet to that route table. So associate the subnet. I believe we have a VPN net, the subnet, which is subnet 1. Then the subnet 1 now is assigned and associate with this route table. Then after that we can go to the route. You will see here add route. We will add here route table VPN 01. Then the prefix list where you want it to go. I need to go to 192.168.1.0/24 in other side in AWS. How to go there? So I will select from here virtual network gateway, which is the VPN gateway just now I created. So once I add this one here, I get everything done in Azure side. Maybe you can create the VM and assign to the subnetting 172.16. So I will go to the AWS, can go to the route table here. This is the route table. In the route table, you have to make sure the route table handling 192.168 as you can see here. So I will edit in that route table. I say anyone need 172.16.0.0/16, or I can be more specific, 1.24, for example, should be go to the VPN, virtual private gateway and VPN for Azure here. So this is the route table here, should be added. So anyone join to this network, later on if you add EC2, join to 192.168.1. whatever, if any EC2 looking for this network should be go to the VPN gateway tunnel, then after that reach to the Azure. Then Azure as well, they have a static route as well in the route table pointing back to the 192.168 through the tunnel inside the virtual network gateway. I hope the idea for VPN between Azure and AWS is clear right now. You can try it in your account and you can do the same lab and see the result as well. So this is all about it, and thank you for watching.